They told you that climbing toward wealth is about hard work, struggle, and endless sacrifice. What if I tell you that Neville's vision of Jacob's ladder reveals another path, where states of consciousness are the rungs and your financial ascension depends not on toil, but on inner transformation? Picture for a moment a ladder rising into the heavens, not of wood or stone, but of thoughts, feelings, and imaginal acts. Each rung represents a state of being, a shift in awareness that moves you closer to prosperity. As you place your foot on the first step, you realize this climb is not physical but deeply mental and emotional. The ladder stretches infinitely, shimmering with possibility, and the higher you climb, the more abundance unfolds. But that is only the beginning, because every step upward reveals a new level of identity. You see that your past beliefs about limitation were never chains, only illusions holding you down. With each rung, you are shedding struggle and stepping into ease. The air grows thinner, sharper, filled with the breath of freedom. Your heart beats with the rhythm of certainty as though heaven itself calls you upward. Angels ascend and descend, carrying whispers of possibility and reminders that your imagination is the true gateway. You feel the vibration of wealth, not as something to chase, but as something you already embody. Each higher step brings new clarity that money is only a shadow of consciousness. You realize you are not climbing toward wealth, but into the version of yourself who already possesses it. This is not striving but assuming, not reaching but becoming. The ladder is within you, woven from the fabric of thought and feeling. Every step up is a choice to dwell in a new state, and at the base of the climb, you sense that what lies ahead is nothing less than the unfolding of your greatest destiny. Can you imagine standing at the base of this mystical ladder, realizing that every rung you climb is not a test of muscle, but a shift in imagination? The first step feels fragile, as though you are uncertain whether it will hold your weight. Yet as you place your trust in the invisible, the rung becomes solid beneath your feet. The climb is steady, but it does not require strain. It requires faith, vision, and the willingness to believe that unseen states are more real than the evidence of your senses. You breathe in deeply, and notice the air changing as if it carries the fragrance of a higher world. The earth below begins to feel distant, less urgent, less demanding. Old voices whisper about scarcity, but you leave them below with every upward move. Your heart begins to beat in rhythm with a new reality. A sense of lightness fills you, as though your very body is shedding weights you did not know you carried. The ladder glows with the energy of promise, and each step feels like a doorway opening. The higher you climb, the more you realize that wealth is not waiting at the top but already present in each higher state. You feel the presence of abundance as a frequency, humming beneath your feet. Your vision expands, and you begin to sense opportunities not as coincidences, but as deliberate reflections of your inner climb. Each step feels easier because belief replaces effort. The doubts that once defined you dissolve like mist under sunlight. You understand that to rise is simply to assume, and as the rung beneath you steadies, you know the climb is not toward riches, but into the self that commands them. Picture for a moment the transformation that occurs as you move higher, where the atmosphere itself begins to mirror your inner conviction. Each rung feels less like an effort and more like a revelation. The ladder no longer seems external, but an extension of your own imagination. Every thought becomes a step, every assumption a beam that supports your weight. The climb is no longer frightening, but exhilarating. You feel as though you are carried by the momentum of belief itself. Below, the shadows of fear shrink into insignificance. Above, the light of certainty grows brighter, drawing you upward with magnetic force. The wealth you once chased now feels as though it is chasing you. Opportunities form around you like constellations gathering in the night sky. Each spark of possibility glimmers with the promise of manifestation. The climb reveals that abundance is not a goal, but a state of consciousness, waiting for you to dwell in it. Your breath deepens as you align with this truth. Doubt tries to echo, but its voice is faint against the roar of inner assurance. You know you are no longer the same person who stood at the base of the ladder. With every step, you are reborn into a greater identity. This identity wears confidence as a garment, and radiates influence like the sun radiates light. The climb is not only upward, but inward, into depths of awareness where wealth already resides. And as you stand on this higher rung, you sense that the ladder itself was always within you, waiting to be claimed. Now consider this. With every upward step, you begin to notice that money itself is not the destination, but a reflection of the states you choose to occupy. Each rung whispers that wealth is not earned by force but attracted by identity. You feel the thrill of realizing that the world outside is only a mirror of the inner ladder you climb. The higher your state, the richer the reflection becomes. You test this by imagining yourself already in possession of the resources you desire. The moment you feel it to be real, the rung beneath your feet steadies as if the universe confirms your choice. This realization floods you with power, for it means no external authority holds the keys to your prosperity. The gatekeeper is your own consciousness, and the lock is your assumption. You sense the sweetness of freedom in this truth. No longer do you have to plead, strive, or beg for opportunity. Instead, you ascend simply by dwelling in the state of having. Each breath becomes a declaration of abundance. Each heartbeat becomes proof of ownership. You feel wealth within you before it appears around you. And as you dwell in this inner certainty, the outer world bends to serve it. This knowledge lifts you higher, giving strength to your climb. You know now that to reach abundance is to embody abundance. The ladder is not climbed by effort, but by assumption. And with this revelation, you realize the ascent is inevitable. Can you imagine the empowerment that comes when you finally grasp that every rung is a shift of inner conviction? You no longer climb with hesitation, but with certainty. The ladder feels alive, responding to your thoughts as if it were built from the fabric of imagination itself. Each step is proof that belief shapes reality. You no longer look back to the ground, because the vision above commands your focus. The air is lighter here, filled with possibility and promise. Your mind opens to new dimensions of creativity, and ideas pour into your awareness like streams of gold. Every concept feels like currency, waiting to be expressed and exchanged in the outer world. You sense the divine rhythm of imagination turning into opportunity. The climb is no longer about effort, but about flow. Fear becomes irrelevant because certainty has replaced it. Scarcity feels like a forgotten dream, dissolving in the presence of abundance. You no longer wonder if wealth will come, for you know it already surrounds you in unseen form. Your hands grip the rungs with confidence, each step more stable than the last. The higher you go, the more natural it feels. You realize you were always meant to climb. This ascent is not against your nature, but the fulfillment of it. And as you pause to breathe on this rung, you know the ladder is carrying you into a destiny that was written within your consciousness all along. Picture for a moment the clarity that comes when you realize the ladder is not external, but woven into your very being. Each rung is not a place to reach, but a state to inhabit. You begin to understand that the outer world changes only after the inner state has shifted. This awareness turns the climb into an art rather than a struggle. Every new rung becomes a masterpiece of consciousness, painted with imagination and sealed with feeling. You feel the joy of creating from within, rather than reacting to circumstances. The sense of control is intoxicating, not because you dominate the world, but because you align with it. Reality bends like light through glass, shaped by the angles of your assumptions. The climb becomes smoother as resistance falls away. You no longer fight the rungs, but flow into them. Each breath you take affirms that you belong higher. Each step confirms that wealth is simply the shadow of your state. Scarcity seems like an illusion you once believed but can no longer take seriously. The angels ascending and descending now feel like your own thoughts, carrying blessings in both directions. You know that every upward move is also a descent of opportunity into your life. The exchange is constant, alive, and purposeful. This realization deepens your confidence, making the climb unshakable. And as you rise higher, you sense that what lies ahead is not just wealth, but mastery over the art of creation itself. Now consider this. As you climb further, the world below begins to look smaller, and with that distance comes a new perspective. The fears that once felt overwhelming now appear trivial, like shadows cast by a fading light. You begin to see how much energy was wasted in doubt, worry, and hesitation. From this higher rung, those struggles seem unnecessary, even absurd. You realize that lack was never real, but only a reflection of your state. This awareness fills you with both relief and determination. You no longer chase outcomes in desperation because you now command them through imagination. Wealth becomes less of a pursuit and more of a natural consequence of who you are becoming. Every step feels like a coronation of identity, crowning you as the ruler of your inner world. You walk into each rung as if it were a throne room, seated in the power of assumption. The air here is alive with possibility, vibrating with unseen opportunities waiting for your recognition. You feel a strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Every heartbeat affirms your ascent, and every breath strengthens your authority over perception. You now understand that the climb is not about reaching the top, but embodying the truth at every stage. This truth whispers that you already possess what you seek. The ladder only reveals it by degrees. With this revelation, your climb takes on a sense of inevitability. You are not merely rising, you are remembering who you have always been. Can you imagine reaching a rung where the very atmosphere seems charged with vision? The higher you climb, the more vivid your imagination becomes. Thoughts no longer feel like fleeting ideas, but like currents shaping the world around you. You sense that creation is happening in real time, that every image you hold is forming itself in the unseen. This realization ignites both awe and responsibility. You understand that careless thoughts can weigh you down, while deliberate ones lift you higher. The climb sharpens your awareness, teaching you to guard your inner conversations as treasures. Each assumption becomes a seed planted in the soil of reality. You feel the thrill of shaping destiny through the precision of thought. Opportunities appear like stars arranging themselves into constellations of meaning. You know they were always there, waiting for your state to recognize them. Each rung feels like a new horizon opening, expanding your vision far beyond what you once believed possible. The climb becomes less about effort and more about alignment. You no longer ask if wealth is coming, because you know it is already unfolding. Your role is simply to remain in the state that calls it forth. This truth makes the climb joyous, even playful. You now see Jacob's ladder not as a trial, but as a gift. And as you stand firmly on this higher rung, you recognize that you are no longer just climbing toward wealth. You are shaping reality itself with every step. Now consider this. As the climb continues, you begin to notice that the ladder is not only vertical, but multidimensional. Each rung opens new layers of perception that stretch outward as well as upward. Wealth reveals itself not only as money, but as influence, creativity, and freedom. You sense the vastness of abundance beyond numbers or currency. Each higher step gives you a broader view, like a mountaintop, revealing valleys you never knew existed. You realize that financial ascension is part of a greater unfolding of consciousness. The money you attract is a symbol of the state you embody. Prosperity itself becomes proof of alignment with higher truth. This insight removes the urgency to force results. You now move with calm authority, knowing that outcomes will align with your state as faithfully as shadows follow light. Each rung strengthens your awareness that the ladder is infinite. There is no summit where the climb ends, only higher states to inhabit. The joy is in the expansion itself. You no longer fear falling because each rung is carved from conviction. Even if you descend, you know the ladder is always available, waiting for you to rise again. The climb becomes a dance between imagination and embodiment. Every step is both a choice and a revelation. And as you pause to breathe in the air of this height, you sense that financial ascension is only the beginning of what this ladder has to offer. Picture for a moment the exhilaration of seeing every rung you climb as a direct reflection of your inner state. Each step upward amplifies your confidence and expands your awareness. The ladder beneath you feels alive, responding to intention and attention. You notice that circumstances, people, and opportunities begin to align effortlessly. Every thought you entertain now has weight, shaping reality in subtle but undeniable ways. You realize that abundance is not something to acquire, but a state to embody. The higher you climb, the more natural it feels to assume wealth and freedom as your own. Fear and doubt lose their power, fading like shadows at noon. Each rung conquered strengthens not only your ascent, but your identity. You feel a new rhythm emerging, where thought, feeling, and inspired action move in harmony. Opportunities appear as if the universe conspires to support your climb. You sense the presence of infinite intelligence orchestrating synchronicities in your favor. Each pulse of emotion resonates with creation itself, reinforcing the ladder beneath you. You begin to see that limitations were never real, but mere perceptions waiting to be corrected. Every decision becomes easier, every choice more aligned. The climb feels like a natural extension of who you are becoming. Your imagination turns into a laboratory of manifestation. Each rung is a step into expanded possibility. And as you pause for a moment, you realize that the true reward is not wealth alone, but the mastery of conscious creation itself. Now consider this. As you climb higher, the sensation of momentum grows stronger, lifting you effortlessly. Each rung beneath your feet feels solid, infused with the energy of your intention. You notice that opportunities begin to appear before you even seek them. Your imagination becomes a precise tool, shaping reality with clarity and focus. Every feeling you cultivate strengthens the ladder and expands your reach. You sense the thrill of alignment, where thought, emotion, and inspired action converge seamlessly. The higher you go, the more effortless the climb becomes. You realize that wealth is not a distant goal, but a reflection of the state you occupy. Fear, doubt, and hesitation no longer have a foothold. Every choice you make is guided by intuition and clarity. You feel the subtle power of deliberate assumption working in your favor. Each rung strengthens both your confidence and your identity as a conscious creator. Opportunities, people, and resources align perfectly with your elevated state. You begin to see that the climb is as much about inner mastery as it is about outer results. Every breath affirms your ability to shape reality. The ladder beneath you stretches infinitely, carrying you toward higher possibilities. You feel joy in every step, knowing that abundance is inevitable. The currents of creation flow naturally, reflecting your inner state. And as you pause for a moment, you understand that momentum itself becomes a tool, propelling you effortlessly toward financial and conscious mastery. Can you imagine the thrill of rising to a level where every action feels inspired and effortless? Each rung supports you with certainty, reinforcing both your ascent and your identity. You notice how inner clarity transforms external reality, as if the world itself bends to mirror your consciousness. Opportunities appear seamlessly, perfectly timed to match your elevated state. You begin to understand that every thought, feeling, and choice is a rung on the ladder. The climb no longer feels like a struggle, but a natural flow. You sense the power of deliberate assumption, where assuming abundance creates its tangible reflection. Every heartbeat resonates with confidence and possibility. The ladder beneath you feels alive, expanding as you rise. You realize that wealth is not an endpoint, but a mirror of who you have become. Fear and limitation fade completely, replaced by certainty and momentum. Every step strengthens the magnetic field of your consciousness. You feel the exhilaration of identity fully merged with creative power. Your imagination acts as a compass, guiding you toward opportunities before they manifest. Each rung conquered deepens your mastery over thought, feeling, and action. You notice synchronicities appearing with remarkable consistency. Every external reflection confirms the inner state you occupy. The higher you climb, the more effortless and thrilling the journey becomes. And as you rest briefly on this rung, you understand that financial and conscious ascension are inseparable, intertwined in every pulse of your being. Now consider this. As you climb higher, the clarity of vision expands beyond anything you imagined. Each rung reveals new possibilities previously unseen. You begin to understand that abundance is a reflection of your inner state, not external circumstance. Every step upward strengthens both identity and momentum. You notice how thought, feeling, and inspired action begin to synchronize effortlessly. Opportunities, people, and resources align perfectly with your elevated state. Fear, doubt, and hesitation lose their grip entirely. Every decision feels guided by an inner intelligence. You sense the exhilaration of being fully responsible for your reality. Each rung solidifies the ladder beneath you, making the ascent more secure. The higher you climb, the more natural it feels to dwell in states of certainty and abundance. You realize that wealth is simply the reflection of who you are becoming. Momentum compounds with each step, lifting you with increasing ease. Every breath confirms your alignment with infinite possibility. The climb is no longer vertical but multidimensional, opening vistas of creativity and influence. You notice synchronicities unfolding with astonishing precision. Every imagined scenario begins to manifest as a tangible opportunity. Identity, imagination, and action merge into a continuous current of creation. And as you pause on this run, you feel the profound truth that the ladder itself is an extension of your consciousness, rising infinitely as you rise within. Picture for a moment the exhilaration of reaching a run where every thought feels like creation itself. You sense the rhythm of the ladder beneath you, steady and responsive. Each step strengthens your identity as a conscious creator. Opportunities flow effortlessly, reflecting the states you inhabit. You notice that wealth is no longer an external pursuit, but a natural extension of who you are. Fear, doubt, and hesitation vanish completely. Momentum carries you upward with ease and precision. Every run conquered compounds the power of assumption. You realize that creation responds instantly to your inner state. Each decision feels guided by clarity and inspired insight. Synchronicities appear as a natural byproduct of your alignment. Every breath affirms your mastery of thought, feeling, and action. The higher you climb, the more natural it becomes to dwell in abundance. You feel joy and excitement in every step, knowing the climb is inevitable. The ladder stretches infinitely above, revealing new vistas of possibility. You understand that the journey is as much about identity as it is about wealth. Each rung solidifies your confidence, influence, and creative power. You notice opportunities manifesting in perfect timing and alignment. The climb is effortless because your inner state dictates the outer world. And as you pause to breathe on this run, you sense the thrill of complete alignment with infinite abundance and conscious mastery. Now consider this. As you rise even higher, the ladder begins to feel like an extension of your own consciousness. Every rung beneath your feet responds to intention and attention. You notice that opportunities, people, and circumstances align seamlessly with your elevated state. The climb is effortless because your inner reality dictates the outer world. Each step strengthens both identity and momentum. Fear, hesitation, and doubt have no foothold here. You feel exhilaration in every motion, knowing the ladder is alive with creative energy. Each thought becomes a precise tool of manifestation. You sense the subtle power of alignment where inspiration flows without resistance. Wealth is no longer something you seek, but a natural reflection of your state. Every breath affirms the truth that creation responds instantly to elevated consciousness. The higher you climb, the more effortless the journey becomes. Each rung solidifies the ladder beneath you while expanding the horizons above. Momentum compounds with every step, lifting you into new possibilities. You notice synchronicities unfolding in perfect rhythm with your inner state. Every imagined outcome begins to manifest in tangible ways. Identity, imagination, and inspired action merge seamlessly. The climb transforms into a dance between consciousness and creation. You realize that the ladder exists not to test you, but to reveal the power within. And as you pause on this run, you sense the thrill of mastery, clarity, and unstoppable momentum in every aspect of life. Now consider this. At higher rungs, clarity becomes your most powerful tool. Every decision, action, and intention must align perfectly with your elevated state of consciousness. You feel exhilaration as you make choices from a place of absolute certainty. Inner clarity illuminates paths previously hidden by doubt or hesitation. Each decision strengthens momentum, reinforces identity, and attracts opportunity. You experience liberation, where indecision and fear dissolve entirely. Intuitive insight guides your steps effortlessly, magnifying influence and accelerating manifestation. Acting with precision, you notice every action flows naturally from inner alignment. Each rung climbed confirms the power of deliberate discernment. Angels of Jacob's ladder seem to move with heightened responsiveness, bringing aligned insights and opportunities. Observing consequences unfold perfectly reinforces both confidence and abundance. You operate with strategic clarity, transforming imagination into practical steps. Every wise choice compounds previous gains and expands your capacity. Elevated perception allows you to anticipate challenges and navigate complexity. Each obstacle becomes a rung rather than a barrier. Identity fully merges with mastery, magnifying influence and accelerating results. Momentum strengthens as deliberate action amplifies manifestation. You feel joy in observing life respond instantly to clarity. Each decision compounds the ladder's strength, opening new avenues of abundance. And as you anchor yourself on this run, you sense unstoppable momentum, alignment, and the undeniable power of conscious discernment. Now consider this. The higher you climb, the more crucial vision and long-term foresight become. Every decision is guided by anticipation and alignment with future possibilities. You sense exhilaration as you see opportunities before they materialize. Expanding perspective allows you to act with precision and confidence. Each rung becomes a strategic advantage, accelerating manifestation. You feel the thrill of aligning daily actions with a larger vision. Imagination, feeling, and inspired action converge to create a coherent trajectory toward abundance. The ladder carries you upward, as your foresight anchors every step. Angels of Jacob's ladder orchestrate guidance and opportunities in perfect alignment with your vision. You observe how insight and intuition allow you to navigate challenges effortlessly. Strategic clarity transforms imagination into actionable steps. Each step compounds momentum and strengthens identity. Opportunities, resources, and people align seamlessly with your elevated state. Horizons expand, revealing possibilities beyond ordinary perception. Foresight allows you to anticipate outcomes and act with perfect timing. Identity fully merges with long-term vision, amplifying influence and creation. Each rung climbed reinforces both confidence and momentum. Synchronicities appear with remarkable consistency, confirming your alignment. You sense liberation as limitations dissolve and new rungs open endlessly. And as you pause on this run, you feel the unstoppable current of vision, guiding your ascent toward infinite possibilities. Now consider this. As you reach the highest rungs, ordinary limits begin to dissolve completely. You feel exhilaration in stepping into a realm of limitless creation. Thought, feeling, and inspired action converge seamlessly to produce abundance beyond imagination. Every rung conquered amplifies the power of possibility. Fear, doubt, and limitation vanish entirely, leaving only clarity and momentum. Creation responds instantly to your state of consciousness. The ladder feels alive, rising effortlessly beneath your feet. Angels of Jacob's ladder move with perfect timing, carrying streams of inspiration and opportunity. Every pulse of thought and feeling becomes a tool of manifestation. You sense the liberation of total freedom, where intention shapes reality naturally. Imagination guides action with precision and grace. Horizons expand infinitely, revealing possibilities previously unimaginable. Identity fully merges with creative power, radiating influence and abundance. Each step upward compounds momentum, lifting you higher with ease. Synchronicities unfold perfectly, confirming alignment with higher intelligence. The thrill of limitless perception fills you completely. Every imagined scenario becomes a foothold for further creation. Wealth, freedom, and mastery flow naturally from your elevated state. You operate in harmony with infinite possibility, unbounded by former limitations. And as you stand on this run, fully immersed in boundless creation, you feel the unstoppable ascent of consciousness manifesting infinite abundance and mastery. Now consider this. The summit is not a place but a state of being. Every rung, every pulse of feeling, and every act of inspired creation converges into a seamless current of conscious abundance. You feel exhilaration knowing that you are fully aligned with wealth, freedom, and infinite possibility. Imagination, feeling, and action move together effortlessly. The ladder beneath you supports every step, reinforcing momentum and identity. Angels of Jacob's ladder orchestrate synchronicities, opportunities, and insights perfectly in alignment with your consciousness. Every thought radiates prosperity and influence. You realize that creation itself responds instantly to your elevated state. Limitations, fear, and hesitation have no foothold. Momentum compounds with every step, lifting you higher with ease. The world around you reflects the totality of your inner state. Every decision, feeling, and imagined scenario manifests in perfect alignment. Identity, perception, and inspired action merge into a continuous current of creation. Opportunities and resources flow naturally, reinforcing the ladder and your ascent. You sense liberation in knowing that wealth and mastery are expressions of your being. The climb continues infinitely, as consciousness itself expands without limits. Every rung conquered opens vistas of greater abundance and possibility. You feel exhilaration in total alignment with infinite creation. And as you anchor yourself on this ultimate run, you recognize that Jacob's ladder isn't Jacob's a journey to a distant goal, but the living, breathing expression of consciousness, creating unlimited wealth, freedom, and mastery in every moment.